Hi everyone, Sajid Amit here, and welcome to my review of the Empire Ears Odin. So the Odin, of course, has been the flagship IEM from Empire Ears for the longest time. I wanted to get them in for the longest time as well. I just didn't get around to. Ever since Resolve or Andrew of headphones.com dropped his review of this, I've really been curious about this. Not just because of these wonderful faceplates, and they really are truly gorgeous, but also because of the sound signature he described, which seemed like it was neutral to leaning towards analytical. And ever since I've gotten back into IEMs, like I now have the Legend EVOs here from Empire Ears, the Traillii. I also have the Aroma Jewel, which is with my sister in Fairfax before it reaches me. And I also have the Noble Audio Sultans, which I'll talk about in a separate video. So I have a decent number of high-end IEMs now. And if you followed my work, you know that I've transitioned from headphones to IEMs because of a variety of reasons, including health. So, does this live up to its reputation in terms of being analytical and analytically proficient and resolving and all that? So my short answer is that it does, and then some more. Because honestly, I feel like I perceive. So I'll talk about the tonality or the tuning soon. But honestly, I just want to start by talking about how resolving this is, because I perceive more resolution on the Odin than on the Traillii. So I know there are critics of the Traillii who say that it's $6,000, but you don't really get your bang for the buck in terms of his resolution, and that's not with regard to the sort of cliched, sort of diminishing returns kind of a perspective, but more to do with the fact that do you actually get incremental levels of resolution even compared to other kilobuck IEMs in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. This is $3,300. This is $6,000, and I'm pretty confident that this is more resolving than the Odins. I'm sorry, the Trailliis. A Traillii has its lovers, its fans, and fanatics, and I know some pitchforks will come out because I've said this, and some people will say that this resolution is just presented differently, and details here in the Traillii is just presented in such a languid and effortless way that one might perceive this to be less resolving because of that, or some people might even say that because this has a greater amount of treble energy and more clarity in tuning, that's basically what's fooling some people into perceiving that this is more resolving. But I disagree with both sort of hypothetical perspectives. This is just out and out more resolving to me than the Traillii. The Traillii is extremely resolving, and at this level they're all similar, they're all in the same league, but I do think that the Traillii and the Odins out-resolve the Legend EVOs just ever so slightly. And these are minute differences, guys. But I do think they're all more or less the same league. And if one were to nitpick, of course, you could say that, one is more resolving than the other and all that. But that's what it is. It is extremely detailed, which also impacts its imaging. So it has a wide soundstage to start with. And of course, soundstage means different things to different people. It means different things in this context of different transducer types. So for IEMs, oftentimes what soundstage will mean is that, of course, you have your right ear and left ear, and whether images are maximizing this sort of distance between your right ear and left ear, and sometimes you'll have a very strong center image, and some stage presentations will be more layered, so you have a greater sense of distance or relative distance of different performers from each other. So it's just a psychoacoustic way of making the listening experience more realistic. So soundstage does exist in a limited form for IEMs, the way it does in its own way for headphones and of course with speakers as well. It's all fake, guys. It's all fake staging. It's all fake, the perception of stage. But, it really is a question of, picking the fake that you like. With IEMs, it is a fake sort of a sense of stage, but then with the Odins, at least, what you get is a very wide sense of stage. It's further boosted by the razor sharp resolution, which affects imaging, because now what happens is it's really all crystal clear. So, there was this track by Pearl Jam, a pretty famous track that a lot of you have listened to, called Black. And I was listening to the live version, live at the GTE Amphitheater. And towards the end of the track, there's a lead solo. Like a lot of us like lead solos, and in this particular case, the lead solo was so visceral. It was so damn lifelike because the way it just jutted out of the rest of the mix, it just popped out of the rest of the mix. And you heard the finer nuances in that lead solo. It was just breathtaking. And this is true also from other tracks. Like there was a track by Pentatonics, and I was listening to this duet, this male-female vocals going on, vocal harmonics, and God, the separation between the male and female vocals is just, it was so amazing. Even with IEMs, like you could literally imagine one of the vocalists coming from the right and the other coming from the left, and it was just really, really well done. So that stuff, that grandiosity of the stage presentation, that sort of preciseness of imaging, aided by its supreme resolution, is just masterclass on this. And just for those sorts of trades, this deserves my highest recommendation, guys. On top of that, this has a wonderful tonality in stock form using the stock Stormbreaker cable, which is a pretty janky cable. It does sound brighter. And then using a slightly warm to neutral DAP like my Aslan Kern Ultima SP2000Ts, this is slightly more palatable in its analytical presentation. And honestly, when I first listened to this using the stock cable of this DAP, I would perceive this as analytical done right. And it was just lovely, and it was a nice change of flavor from my Legend EVOs, which are pretty muted in the treble. The Legend EVOs are essentially what I would characterize as supremely bassy, warm, fun with treble roll-off. This cable, by the way, is from SEMA. It's the SEMA Snow Owl cable. It's pretty highly recommended by me if you want a cable that's not supremely expensive while being ergonomic and pretty and, you know, decent sounding. The Trailliis, of course, have a 4 to 7 kilohertz cut. So even in its analytical form, I would have kept this because this is a nice change of flavor from the Trailliis and from the Legend EVO. The Trailliis are languid, laid back, gentle, and very organic in timbre and presentation, and just masterclass for vocals. Perhaps the best I've ever listened to for vocals as far as IEMs go. Yeah, but so this initially was analytical, and I liked it still. However, I want to say once I cable rolled and I started using this pretty expensive cable from PW Audio, it's the first Times cable. It's the non-shielding version. The sound presentation changed in a way that I liked. And furthermore, I've been using this a lot, the i-Fi Go Blue. A big shout out also to i-Fi, because every device they have has this coherence with regard to each other in terms of a consistent sound signature. They're all warm, they're all thick. And you do compromise soundstage just a tiny bit with i-Fi devices, but then you have like the X bass and the X stage with i-Fi devices, which can have the effect of enhancing the bass and enhancing the stage. So I use this with X bass switched on, so I get a more spacious presentation. But more importantly, this has the warmth and the thickness which complements Odin so well that off the i-Fi using this cable, I don't perceive the Odin to be analytical anymore. Like, the Odins actually become honestly perfect. It's not clinical, it's not analytical, it's still supremely resolving, spacey, spaced out presentation, great layering, and it's just lovely with the i-Fi Go Blue. So, you know, this is also a very highly recommended product if you want something that is, you know, very portable. So that's it, guys. I really think the Odin is still one of the best IEMs on the planet. Oh, and one last word about its bass, because some people have wondered about its bass. It's not the bass that you get with Legend EVO. It doesn't tack on extra bits of bass on different tracks the way the Legend EVO can, which is fine, which is a nice change of flavor. The Legend EVO does add a bit of bass to tracks even when there's no bass, or, you know, less bass on that track, which is a fun thing and a fun presentation, and it's worth having, for me at least, for that, in addition to the fact that it's a nice warm presentation with great vocals as well. This does not have that extra bit of bass, and it does have a slightly longer decay compared to the Legend EVOs in the bass. So you might perceive this as a slightly slower presentation, but also more natural because of that. At the same time, it's very textured bass. It's fairly punchy. It's very resolving bass. So keep that in mind. I think this is something that I would love, you know, to own, even if I did not have something like the Legend EVOs. But if you like, you know, enormous amounts of bass, then that's that. This is not the god of bass. I feel like this is the god of resolution and god of imaging. So that's it, guys. I hope this was useful, and if this was, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you have not, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.